Harihi Om. Sadashivasamārambām Shankaracharya madhyamām Asmadacharya paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Mūkam karoti vācālam Pangum langayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda madhavam. Om. So we will do the Shishya Atma Samarpan. So because Hemant has joined us today, I'll just give a small introduction about it. This comes as the 7th shloka in the Bhagwad Gita's 2nd chapter. This is the place where Arjuna surrenders himself to the God. And he says, he's not asking a question saying, hey, how should I do it? Or what should I do it? Nothing like that. He says, that which you feel will bring me goodness. Please tell that to me. That is the highest form of surrender. That is the highest form of keeping your mind open for you to learn the maximum. We did speak about things like Adhama Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari, etc., where Uttama Adhikari is the one who is most qualified to learn the fastest. So, as a tradition, we always chant this shloka, hoping that our mind gets calm and we are also able to become the Uttama Adhikari as we learn this Bhagavad Gita. कार्पण्य दोषो उपहत स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Om. So we have completed up to the 10th shloka, in which Sanjaya concludes. From the 11th shloka onwards, the true Gita-Upadesh starts. However, what we observed was Shankaracharya has given an elaborate introduction, running into like about 100 slides for that matter, where there are some very fundamental, foundational aspects that has been laid down. We started looking into Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, and we are here in this particular page. It is just a prose order, so it is not a shloka, numbers, etc. So we are just going in accordance with the time that permits us. Before I start today's class, I want to give you some overview, which will help in understanding as to why Shankaracharya has given this Bhashyam or this introduction. In the Hindu philosophy or within the Indian system of living, we have several branches, right? So it is not like a single scripture. See, even with Bible, you will see there is an Old Testament, New Testament and all. There are Catholics, there are Protestants and Seventh-day Adventists. There is a variety that comes out. That variety is the human nature. So Hinduism is not a single linear subject. Unfortunately, you will see that it is the linear way of looking which is kind of put on our minds. We start looking at things like that, and so we get ourselves into a lot of complications because everywhere you go, there is contradiction, there is conflict. Right? The nature in itself is a variety, and that variety should be celebrated. The beauty of this Vedic culture, or I would say Hindu culture or Indian culture, whichever way you put it, because there are traditions which do not even accept Veda. Even they are part of the Indian culture, Indian system. Right? So there are various philosophies, there are various thoughts, and it is very important to emphasize or to put an underscore on what is the point of view which we are using to establish the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. And then there will be a lot of discussions around it to say this one is better or that one is better. Right? So there will be traditions which will come and say that Advaita is the best, others are not. There are traditions which say, like a Dvaitic tradition will come and say Advaita is totally wrong, Dvaita is correct. And they will have their own verses to communicate, and they will, and others will have their own point of view to emphasize. Right? The way that it is taught in our tradition is that if you take Advaita as a maarga, as a means, you are no different than Dvaita or Visishta Advaita. Advaita, the term Advaita is being used not to specify the means, but to define the end. When we look at it as the end definition, that non-duality is very, very essential. When we say non-duality, so we can say one, right? It is not two is the meaning of non-duality. So can I say it is one? The answer is no. The reason is you have something called as one, but some of it is expressed as many. That ability to distinguish between the Atma and Anatma as a one thing, but not a one thing. That definition is what is Advaita. So we need to realize this, put it very strongly in our mind, that Advaita means a name that is given to that which cannot be named. As simple as that. You have to use a name, so we are using it. But Advaita basically refers to this whole concept, which is one, but also manifesting as many. Right? So that duality is what is the expression that is used to define the non-duality, the Advaita. Our tradition, the Hindu culture as in itself, totally, is driven by the aspiration to find the truth. The truth can only be one. And we will have areas where we will speak about truth. Right? So I'm not going to go too deep into that, right? But we have discussed, those who have been in the previous classes, they know it, right? There are basically three types of truth, right? Pratibhasikam, Vyavaharikam, and Paramarthikam. Now, this truth being searched and finding out is what our culture is all about. It is very different from other cultures where they define what the truth is. Right now, once it is defined, it cannot be true, is what our system says. The definition in itself makes it transactional in nature. It doesn't make it absolute. Right? So that is the big difference. In truth, we have individual reality, or that which is not really a reality to others. I'm dreaming, or I'm seeing a snake where actually it is a rope. Right? So now this snake is only visible to me. It is not visible to others who are coming. right? And we will talk about what those kinds of truth are when we will get to those relevant places. The quest is to be able to find that truth with the knowledge that truth can only be one. It cannot be that for you this is the truth, for me this is the truth. If that happens, it means either you are wrong, or I am wrong, or both of us are wrong. It can never be that both of us are correct. In the same example of the rope and the snake, right? I am seeing a snake. You are seeing a rope. So we have a conflict. Either I am correct or you are correct. So we both go there to see what it is. And we realize that it is actually a crack on the road or on the platform, which is giving an appearance of a rope or a snake. So what happened in this case, both of us were wrong. And now we know the truth is only one, which is the crack which you are seeing on the road. For example, if we had seen snake, that means I was correct and you were wrong, and you correct yourself, and we both are seeing snake now. If it was a rope, you were correct, I was wrong, and we are now seeing the same one truth. So the definition of the truth can only be one. If it is more than one, it means we have to further evaluate. We have to further study. Hence, we in the tradition have been having a lot of debate. Right? It will be Dvaitic versus Advaitic, or Visishtadvaitic versus Dvaitic, or in any form, in any place, you will see that we have had several debates. I was still a child when this happened. There used to be in the beach, in Marina Beach in Chennai, people used to sit down and they used to discuss. They used to have very beautiful samvad. Thanks to the TV, we have stopped having any kind of samvad at all, right? Except in the songs, we say that satsang is needed, but we don't really get into any kind of satsangs, right? So that is just the way that the society is moving, not that we can do anything about it to change it, except to talk about it. Someday, somewhere, someone will realize and it will slowly evolve. What we can do is contribute it in this way. Those satsangs used to take place where we used to debate, where people used to debate. I have been to some of the places where these debates are held. I have participated in such debates as well. Right? So it is very, very refreshing, and it is very much eye-opening. The outcome that you get out of such debates are amazingly valuable. It is very interesting how one debate can put in 1,000 times more than what my guru could have taught me in a class or two. It is that powerful. But for the value to sink in, it will take time. Coming back to the topic, here, these debates are the core. There are certain differences in opinion, and Shankaracharya is going to establish, he's going to say that Advaita is what the revelation of Bhagwad Gita is. If you go and attend a class by Dvaitic Parampara, you will say maybe Dvaitic Parampara is the correct one, not Advaitic. If you go to Visishtadvaitic, it will be the same. Then the three of us can have further discussions, and we will have to find the truth for ourselves. All these things, the teaching, be it Advaita or Visishtadvaita or Dvaita, right? Or the discussions that we have had, the satsang that we have, takes you up to the half mark. It also shows you the direction that you need to lead. And from there, to lead in that direction, to work towards that, is individual's responsibility. No one can teach. That is the beauty of Vedanta. That is the beauty of spirituality. As a side effect, it will increase your viveka. It will make your, ability to see through the things very quickly. It will elevate you. It will put a lot of balance in you. It will improve your ability to communicate. There are lots of pluses that you get out of these kind of classes. But Atma Gyan is that which you will be taken halfway through for you to march the remaining one. With that introduction, we will continue where we left. So herein, the first thing that he said was, what was the basis of Bhagavad Gita? How the first chapter to the second chapter, what was covered, and what are all some of the examples that he had given, and he had put a groundwork on what is the purpose of this Grantha. Continuing on that, Tayoho cha sarva karma sannyasa purvakad. So, tayo cha, tayo is there, cha is and, sarva karma sannyasa purvakad. Prior, purvakad is prior, right? To the result, to sarva karma sannyasam. We need to understand this very carefully. The sarva karma sannyasam literally means having renounced all karma, all actions. There is a shloka that we will see later, wherein Bhagavan says that nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarma krit. There is not going to be a single second, there is not going to be a single moment where you are going to be inactive, non-active. But here, Shankaracharya says, sarva karma sannyasa purvakad. So here, the term sannyasa must be understood in accordance with the fourth chapter and further explained in terms of an example in the fifth chapter. Right, in fifth chapter, there will be a beautiful place in which Bhagavan will say that even though he is breathing or he is seeing a dream, right, he is not seeing it. Even though he is, eyes are, unmission and nimission, right, basically closes and opens. He is not the one who is doing it. By sarva karma sannyasam, that is what it means. The doership of the action is removed from you. Doing is still there, but the doership behind that is removed. So, tayoho, for those people who have not yet come to the point of renouncing their karma, all karma, right? Atma Jnanad na anyato, right? The attainment of this particular liberation happens only through the Atma Jnana. What is a Jnana? Knowledge. Atma Jnana is knowledge about the Atma. What is that knowledge? We will talk about it in depth in Bhagwad Gita. Just realize that you call I. But can you point to that I? If I say that, oh, sorry, what is this? This is my body. This is my chest. This is my finger. So what is mine cannot be I. My pen, that means Me and pen are different. So can you point to the I that you always refer to? You cannot. That knowledge about what that I is the subject which will allow you to elevate yourself from a karmi to sarva karma sannyasi. That is the first thing. Nivrittihi iti tad upadi dikshuhu. Right. This is, upadi dikshu is upadesh. Right. That is what has been done. The way to overcome this is through such preaching only. In fact, in our tradition, it is said that you have to sit right next to the Guru. You have to be able to invest that time to be able to sit next to the Guru and listen. And that is the highest form of learning. Online, it's okay, but we are together. This could be the second highest form of learning. The third one could be where you are going through some guru, what do you say, who has preached on the video, like what I'm doing right now, putting it into YouTube, and someone listening into the YouTube. That could be the third form. But only these three can lead you to that. Right. So, of the lowest order will be where you listen to the recording. And of the highest order will be where you sit next to the Guru and learn. That is the only means for this Atma Jnana. Sarva Loka Anugrahartham, for the benefit of the entire world, Arjunam Nimitti Kritya, keeping Arjuna as an instrumental cause, Aha said Bhagavan Vasudeva, which is Lord Krishna. What does he say? From the next shloka, the 11th shloka, it will go like this. Ashocyanan vashochastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gata sunagata shumscha nanushocanti pandita. From that shloka onwards, the purpose is that. That is what Aachaarya says here. Going further, Tatra kechit ahuhu, Tatra, on that, kechit, some acharyas, ahuhu, state, sarva karma sannyasa purvakad, prior to the renunciation, which we saw earlier, atma jnana nishtha matrad eva. Only with the application of nishtha, right? Sarva karma sannyasam and atma jnana. Kevalat kaivalyam na prapyate. So he is now bringing in the other traditions. What Aachaarya first said? Only through Atma Gyan this can be attained. Here, the Purva Paksha, which could be any tradition, it could be a Buddhist tradition, or it could be a Advaitic tradition or Visishtadvaitic tradition. But there are other traditions which say that it is not through this alone. Kevalat is used only with that. Right? So, na prapyate, cannot be attained. Kim tarhi agnihotradi shrauta smarta karma sahitad. And therefore, rituals such as the Agnihotra, right? Agnihotra is like we do Sandhya Vandana. I think some people know what is Sandhya Vandan, right? But it is also, it's a very small process where there will be fire that will be lit and there will be samit. The small twigs will be offered to that samit. Very simple, small procedure. But this Agni will be lit and kept at all times in the house. It is with that Agni that the Antim Kriya is also performed. Right. Nowadays, even now, there are some traditions which are very particular about doing Agnihotra. Right. And you can find them in India, actually. I have not seen them anywhere else in the places I have traveled. But it is one of the things. What here the other people, there are other acharyas, what they say is, in addition to your jnana, you must also perform the Shrauta Smarta Karma, the rituals that has been prescribed in the Shruti, which is Veda, and Smartha, which is in the Purans, or it could be Pauranik, or it could be Yoga Sutras based, there are any kind of traditions that you want, right? There are. So those texts which are based on the Veda is called as Smriti. So Smarta Karma is that understanding based karmas, right? So you, in addition to gaining the knowledge of Atma, must also continue to perform the rituals. That is what they are saying. Iti sarvasu gitasu nishchitaha artha iti. What they say is, this entire Bhagavad Gita emphasizes that. It stresses that. That is what there are other traditions that speak of. So this is a good warning for us. So if in case some others are coming and speaking, the right thing to do is to stick to your gun, or move into the other area and execute from that point of view, that which you are able to learn. That is why there will be people who will be coming in Advaita Parampara, they would have gone to Dvaita Parampara or Visishta Advaita Parampara. And similarly, there will be people in Dvaita Parampara who will switch over to Advaita Parampara. It is not that Advaita Parampara or Dvaita Parampara, this is big, that is great, nothing like that. As a marga, as a means, all the three, or in fact, for that matter, anything is good. As a truth, it can be only one. That which helps you with the truth is the best one for you to take. But then you should continue and drop the belief in search of truth. Moving on. Jnapakam cha ahuhu. Teaching or informing or suggesting, that is jnapakam. Cha ahuhu. And contextually state asya arthasya. To this, they give various praman from Bhagavad Gita. Right? So it is not like somebody has said, oh no, this is Dvaita, so you have to agree. For that Dvaita or for that Visishta Dvaita or whatever that other traditions are, they also speak of some of they give quotes. Right. The first, so what Aachaarya says is, asya arthasya, for that purpose, the ityadi is etc. These shlokas are given. Ata chetvamimam dharmam sangramam na karishyasi karmanyevadikaraste kuru karmaiva tasmatvam. So these are all three shlokas that he has quoted. There are others also. Right. When we get to those individual shloka, I will try to connect them with the specific parampara and how they also interpret it. I may be a little wrong. I'm just going to be telling that I have learned. So if there are going to be others who are wanting to come and correct me on Dvaitik or Visishtadvaitik observations, I'll be more than happy to take it. So the shlokas are Atha chetvamimam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papamavapsyasi. So this comes in the second chapter, the 33rd shloka, wherein Bhagavan says that if you do your swadharma, there is no papam that is going to come to you. Right. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Very famous one. Everybody knows the meaning. Evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaif purvataram kritam. So here it is also emphasizing on what should be the means in which we do. Right? So all these are recommendations for people to be engaged in the action. But then Aachaarya will very beautifully give further explanation. But herein, they give further, preaching on some of the side aspects of it. Right. For example, from a Jain tradition point of view, you will see that there are people who think the Vedic karma are having a little bit of himsa associated with it. You can see the slide, right? Am I sharing?
No.
Am I not sharing?
No, cannot see the slide, Guruji.
Oh, man. What is it that is? I thought I did. Can you see the slide now? So yeah, please just speak up if in case I have not shared the slide or I did share the slide. Actually, I started swapping the slides and stuff like that. I think something happened when I started the stream or something. Maybe it just got lost. Sorry about that. Himsadi yuktatvad vaidikam karma adharmaya iti iyam api आशंकान न कार्या कथम क्षात्रम कर्म युद्ध लक्षणम गुरु भ्रातृ पुत्रादि himsa lakshanam. Okay, so now basically what is a himsa and what is not, that is the place where they are trying to communicate. As I said, the biggest problem was, for example, from the Jain tradition, they would say that it is very himsa, the Vedic karma, because we do the bali and other things are also there in Veda, right? So it is not like Veda is vegetarian, right? So they also talk of other things as well, right? So what is important is to establish that, hey, doing the yuddha, doing the war as a Kshatriya dharma is a proper dharma, similar to the other rituals. That is what they are trying to say here. Atyanta kruram api, even though it is utmost cruel, swadharmaha iti kritva, if it is done as a swadharma, na adharmaya, will not be considered adharma. Tad karanecha, and to establish that, tataha swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. Bhagavan says this in the shloka. We have seen that shloka. Bruvata yavinchi vadi. In this manner, those who see the deficiencies. So the eyebrows are the brew. Okay, so perhaps it is being taken from Sanskrit, I don't know. But that brew is being raised. That is the way that it is said. Bruvata yavinchavadi is in the manner where somebody sees a deficiency. Shruti cha uditanam pashvadi himsa. So this is the origination from the Veda, Shruti, where Pashwadi, the animals, etc., as I said, the Bali that comes into being. So here that is being quoted. Lakshananam cha karmanam, and of the characteristics of karma, prag eva, even before, from the beginning. Na adharmatvam iti sunishchitam, is not adharma. That is very well established. So if you are doing a Vaidika karma, and if in case a bali has to be given, then it is not a cruel act, is what they are, arguing. Or it is what the other traditions who are arguing, some of the traditions, they may be putting this particular aspect to Aachaarya. Again, you are talking in terms of 700 AD versus 2000. Right, so there is a huge difference we are talking in terms of. There could be a lot more, but all these are still truth. So the questions can arise in one's mind. Right, so what here they are quoting is similar to how that is not considered to be a himsa. Uktam bhavati iti. Thus it becomes, or thus it is said so, is the way that it goes. Right. Now, through an analysis that we will be coming up next, Adi Shankara will establish that Advaita Darshana, in which the association that we create with an action versus renunciation of that association and gaining the Atma Gyan, actually continuing the action and gaining the Atma Gyan, are two different paths. In Advaita Darshana, moksha is enabled only through the renunciation of action. As I was telling it to you before, renunciation of action means so though I am performing the action, there is no doer behind it. Because we or that person has realized Atma, and his entire purview changes into the oneness of the world, of the existence of the Sad. And because of that oneness, there is no division that happens. And when there is no division, what results is action remains action, and the Atma behind it becomes a non-doer. Right? Sarva kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam is the way that Bhagavan himself will say, though I do all these things, remember that I am a non-doer, is the way that the shloka will go. We will cover all those things. But here the focus is that, to say that one who has identified oneself with the Atman, as in one who has realized this Atman as the self, will see this body as merely a projection. It will be merely a kshetra. It is merely part of the Prakriti. Right? And the three guns are belonging to the Prakriti, not to the Atma. And they realize that it is only these guns that function or that work with each other to keep the dynamics alive. That's all it is. So that action is not an action at all. It is a natural aspect of the Prakriti. They live in that realization. Right? So even that realization will split as I am there and this is my realization. No, in the Atma Gyan, you will even overcome that. You will not have that I and you at all. It just is. That's about it. That is what is Atma Gyan. With that is what he says you can become an akarta, a non-doer. Now, there are several commentators who tell that it is not only through this, but also through the Shrauta Smarta Karma. They also say that because karma is associated or joined with himsa, such recommended practices in scriptures should never be considered as a cause of adharma. Because here the point is Arjuna is thinking that if in case I kill, then it becomes an adharma. Guru na hatva hi mahanubhava. Right? That is the way that he goes, right? He starts with that. So for him, this is what is happening. So the assertion that they give is similar to how the Shrauta karma has certain things which may appear to be himsa, is not to be considered as a himsa because it is a swadharmam. So that is the argument that they pose. So the basic argument that they are putting is, it is not only important to perform the karma, but also such karma will not fall under specificities of adharma, is what they will try to argue. And given that, they will say it is important to do karma. What they would have missed or what they would have misunderstood is when it is said you are not the doer or you have renounced that action, what is meant is not I'm going to stop all the actions. Rather, it means that the doership of I am the doer behind that action is lost. Moving on. Tad asat. So here Aachaarya is saying such assertions by those traditions is incorrect. Jnana karma nishthayoho. Application of jnana and karma. Vibhaga vachanat. Right. As division-based definitions, buddhi dvaya ashrayayoho. They are the two distinct paths are revealed. Right. So this is again, I'll put it this way. Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, there are people who have written Bhashyam on the Bhashyam. There is Tika, there is Tipni. The amount of words that Shankaracharya has put in his Bhagwad Gita Bhashyam, about 1,000 times more analysis has been done. Because it is that subtle, that beautiful, actually. I'm just trying to do as much justice I can for this great work of Shankaracharya. So what he is trying to put is this Vibhaga Vachanad Buddhi Dvaya Ashrayayoho is taking the dualistic mindset in their approach. And because of that, it is incorrect, is what he is trying to establish in simple words. What it means is that dualistic mindset is I and you. When this I and you happens, then it is not part of the Atmajnan. If that Atmajnan is not considering this as one, then that is not an Atmajnan. That is Atma Vishaya Jnana. You can put it like that. I know about an object called as Atma, but not about Atma itself. In terms of Atma, when you look at it as a Chaitanya, Ananda, right, Sad, Swarupam, then you cannot have that division coming into your mind. So, because they are seeing it with the division, they are wrong, is what Shankaracharya puts here. Ashocyan ityadhina, this is the shloka from this. Adhi is the beginning, commencing from the next shloka. Bhagavata yavat swadharmamapi cha avekshya iti. Right. So Bhagavan said till swadharmam abhicha avekshya. Right. So that is coming in the 31st shloka. Right. Eta dantena grantena, ends in. Right. So here, what he says is from the beginning called as Ashocyan to Swadharmam apichavekshya etadantam. That is the end of it. Between that particular place, yet paramartha atma tattva nirupanam kritam. So now you can understand. Once we start the 11th shloka till this 31st shloka, right, or the 30th shloka, right, the entire thing is Atmagyan. There are some deviations in between. We will get to that. But you can say that that is a place where the knowledge about Atma is given. We will discuss about that also when we get into the introductions there. Yet Paramartha Atma Tattvam Nirupanam Kritam Tat Sankhyam. That is called as Sankhya philosophy. Tad Vishaya Buddhihi, the intelligence or the brain having such a knowledge. Tad Vishaya, here the Sankhya is the Vishayam and Tad refers to Sankhya. One who has the knowledge about the Sankhya, Atmano Janmadi Shad Vikriya Abhavad, knows that this Atma is not subject to the 6 types of changes. Body goes through these 6 types of changes. What are they? Asti means it starts from existence. Jayate is born, Vardate grows, Viparinamate undergoes a change, Apakshiyate depletes, Vinashyati dies. So these are called as the 6 phases of life, or 6 phases of a current life form. This current life form's 6 phases is not applicable to Atma. This they will know. Akarta Atma iti prakaranartha nirupanad. Atma, which is the soul, is a non-doer, akarta. Right? Atma akarta iti prakaranat, right? Nirupanat is being established, is being proven, or is being defined. The context that he makes here. Right? So the intent is, after having said what others or in other traditions, they come as a challenge to this Advaitic assertions, here he comes and establishes that on this basis, what is that? This Atma Ekam, that Swarupam has been established in these shlokas. And through that, that non-doership gets established, is the way Shankaracharya quotes here. Ya jayate sa sankhya buddhihi. So that which is born out of this wisdom, repeating it, Atma is Ekam. From that wisdom, that which is born is Sankhya Buddhi. Sa Esham Jnaninam, and to those, he is now referring to them as Jnani. Achita Bhavati Te Sankhyaha, which is the Sankhya's way of life is more appropriate for them. What is Sankhya way of life? The way of life of a sage. Remember, I'm not talking about somebody who has worn a dress or they are practicing like, in some institutions. They are not sages, right? We will leave the sage aspect of it. When we get to the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, we will talk about it. 56th shloka in the 2nd chapter. But right now, let us just assume that the term sage is being used to refer to such people who, having got this Atmajnan, are pursuing the life driven by the Atmajnan. It is again a very, very beautiful and a subtle place. We will talk about it when we get to those places. Ye tasya buddhehe janmanah prag atmano dehadi vyatiritva kartrutva bhoktritvad, is the way that he puts it. Etasya, this, buddhehe, mind, janmana is birth, prag is prior to, before birth. Atmano dehadi, Atmano of the Atma, dehadi, body, etc., vyatiriktatva, that is separate or other than. So you know that, right? So this body is made of this earth, nothing more than that. It is just made of the Annamaya Kosha. That is what this body is. There is something where the Atma enters this body, giving it a life. That is the point that he is trying to make here. Right? So that separation was there. Apeksho dharma adharma viveka purvako. Apeksho is consideration. Dharma adharma viveka purvako is associated or filled with dharma adharma viveka. Right? So what he says is, when we are born, we do not have the vivekam, the intelligence of differentiating between dharma and adharma. So here, that purvako is associated or filled with prior to that, is what it means. Prior to getting filled with that atma, dharma, dharma vivekam. Moksha sadhana anusthana nirupana lakshano yoga. Moksha sadhana anushtanam, acting in conformity to the means of attaining moksha. Nirupana defines, lakshano, the characteristics, yoga, united with, the yuj. Yuj is the word from where yoga is created. Yuj is to unite. So this intellect pursues the path of adopting moksha sadhanam. That is what it means. Tad vishaya buddhihi yoga buddhihi. So now he has said that this is Sankhya Buddhi, wherein it pursues the path of renunciation, whereas this Yoga Buddhi is driven by the Dharma Adharma Vivekam. Right? So I was born without it, I'm developing it, and then I start practicing it. That becomes the Yoga Buddhi. Right? So tad Vishaya Buddhihi. Here, that Vishaya refers to the materialistic view of looking at the world. What is meant by that? The division of I and you. When the division happens, that is when this is wealth, this has value. Now I see the difference. If you remember the story that was told about that, say, or about the school where they were trying to identify who is the Uttama Adhikari, that is what we have to keep in mind. That is what should come to your mind here, which says that the buddhi which creates the difference, and we all have that. Right? So the buddhi that creates the difference, for that, it is important that there must be a yoga buddhi. We will talk about it in other chapters also, where Arjuna will ask, right? So what is Sankhya Buddhi? What is Yoga Buddhi? Bhagwan will also speak about it. That is what here Aachaarya is quoting. Sa esham karminam uchita bhavati te yoginah. Which means for those people, it is this yogic or this way of life, the karma driven way of life is uchita, is appropriate. So now he creates that particular difference and establishes. So we are at 728. We will stop at this slide and we will continue with the other slides. Then we get to our next class. And once again, just giving you a hint, warning you that this area is going to be a little dry. But what you learn from this, particularly when we go into how the Purva Paksha argues, there are question and answers that will come, and it will be very, very beautiful, actually, or it depends on how we define the beauty to be. But interest is going to be a big driver. But as he said, initially, this lays a great foundation for you. We will continue to build on this foundation, and it will take some time before we jump into the shloka, similar to how we were doing it in our previous classes. With this, I will take a break here and open it up for Q&As. We will start from the top. Prabhakar.
No questions.
Awesome. How did you like this one? I'm going to have a question today. Is it tough? Is it difficult?
For a while, when the slides were not there, I was actually enjoying your full screen visual, like sitting next to the Guruji that you had mentioned earlier. But I know I had started about the slides.
Correct. Yeah. Of course, you can just turn off that slide also, right? Means don't look at the computer or look at the what is a phone? Just ignore the sun.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But as I said, it's going to be a little tough, and I hope you'll be able to pull this one through. All the best to you.
Yeah. So far I could. Hope I'll continue to.
Awesome. Hemant Bhai, just
Uh,
just to introduce, after this, we generally go through Q&As, and if you have any questions or comments, it's welcome.
Obviously, this is my first class, so I did have sort of like a question where I was trying to look for this specific sloka for chapter 2:10. It didn't kind of match. So is this like more a commentary on like the Gita in general?
Correct. No. I will go back to that. We are in, okay, let me make a note of it. 1 second. Oops, sorry. Okay. You have unfortunately joined it at the most tough portions. Earlier, it was more like easy going with shlokas and everything. Now it is not. So if you take a look at this one, this is the ninth shloka. This is exactly in accordance with what you will see in the Bhagwad Gita book.
Hmm.
Okay. And this is the 10th shloka. Right. But after this 10th shloka, herein, what we are starting is something called as Bhashyam. Okay. You can search for Gita Press, Shankara Bhaashyam on Bhagwad Gita. It will give you, you can just get it in the PDF form or something of that sort. Right. And it will be fully in Sanskrit and Hindi. Right. I know you can read Hindi, I think, so you should be okay. But yeah, it will be typically in 2 columns kind of a stuff. That is how the book is given. There are other books also defined in English, and you can find these words in that place. This is not a shloka. This is a commentary that Shankaracharya has written. Shankaracharya did not write any commentary for the first chapter and the 9 shlokas of the second chapter. Instead, he came to the 10th shloka and he wrote a commentary which was a total introduction of all the things put together. Once we complete this commentary, don't think all of it will take this long. I was using some introductory time also, but typically this can go faster. Now you see, all these are shlokas. It will come back to your shloka. Okay.
Gotcha. Yes, makes sense.
So, yeah, here the shloka will start again. Okay, sorry, the previous one. Yeah. Okay,
Got it.
so all these things is exactly the shloka. You go into any Bhagavad Gita book, that is what it will be.
Yeah.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ashocyanan Vashochastvam. That is the way that it goes. It will be continuously the same thing. And we will go through word by word and other things. But you have come at a place where it is the Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. And I think we have another about 50 slides. So maybe another 3 classes or 4 classes, because the Q&As, etc., will be very quick. It will be Q&A kind of a stuff that will be pretty fast to go through. So I'm expecting like about 3 or 4 classes before we jump into the 11th shloka.
Can I ask another follow-up question on the Bhashyam itself here?
Sure.
Is it generally across different slokas that he's giving a commentary on, or is it the previous slokas? I do see there is a reference across different sort of chapters he's connecting through in the Bhashyam that you were just explaining.
Absolutely. Yes. He does give it for every shloka. Okay. And in several places, you will see that he even, connects them. Okay. So this is the way that it will be. Yeah. Right. So this is in some other chapter, but whatever it is. Yeah, this is the third chapter. Right. So if you go back, this is the way that it will be given. This is the Hato Va Prapsyasi Swargam. This is the 37th shloka. And for that, he has given the commentary. This is the Shankaracharya's commentary. And this is the Hindi Anuvaka for this.
Got it. So going forward, we will have his commentary as we are going to understand every sloka.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
So only problem is in this, for the first chapter and the 9 shlokas of the second chapter, he has put it as a single block. It is not shloka by shloka defined. So we are covering it at the 10th shloka.
Got it. Thanks.
Got it?
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. And you may be even proud of me that I have written a, Python code, which goes into the PDF file and it converts it into Sanskrit and brings it back, and I only do the corrections.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Jyoti ji?
Namaste, Nashji. I have no questions, Nashji.
Thank you. Yeah, but please do bear with this phase, but we'll soon be getting into our regular phase.
Yeah.
Ravi
And
Bhaiya.
it is nice that on your slides, on the top left corner, you do specify if it is a sloka slide or a Bhashyam slide. So,
Yeah.
just pointing that out.
Thank you.
I have no questions, Uncle Ji. Thank you.
Awesome. Sanjesh ji?
I have no questions, Guruji, but I'm very grateful to be part of this group. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Now it will be a little hard travel, but I'm sure once we cross another 3 or 4 class, it will get back to our regular routine. Remember, second chapter is going to be tough. Very, very, very tough. Right? Because in tradition, what we do is we start teaching it with something like, you go into Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, right, Viveka Chudamani and other things. You prepare yourself and then you jump into the Atma Gyan. Bhagavan doesn't do it that way. He will directly jump into Atma Gyan. And then he will jump into Karma Yoga. Then he will go into Sthita Pragya Lakshana. Then he'll once again come to Karma Yoga. It will be like, he has put it in what may appear to be a chaotic order. But as it is said in our tradition, this is the best way for one to understand. Because when you go into the 18th chapter and you see it as a summary, I think everything will fall in place. It will be that beautiful. So I think it is deliberately he has done, Bhagavan has done it in this way, so that in this order, if you learn, it really resonates and it takes you on the next path. So it is going to be fun. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we will take a break here and we will connect again in our next class. Harihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.